Right, welcome to another Blueprint Blether. We are here at Merkiston Castle School, is that right?
It is,
It is, yeah. And it's their camps, and we're lucky enough to be joined by Director of Rugby, Roddy Deans, and also Hoik coach, Graham Hogg, who also is helping out in the camp. So welcome, gents. Thanks for giving up a bit of time to chat to us, and obviously Neil's here as well. And today we're going to talk all things tackle height. So, the new tackle height laws have kicked in 1st of July. So a great opportunity to talk with two of our most experienced coaches in Scotland about what they see as being great opportunities around it and how they're going to approach it for the season. So we'll delve into it. So before we start off, do you want to just give a quick chat about what's going on here and what's going on behind us?
It's just our summer rugby camp. We're on a week's camp here for boys and girls aged from 7 up to under 18. So we've got 200 boys and girls on site. It's been raining pretty hard this morning, but the sun is now coming out. So it's just a great opportunity for us to bring lots of experienced coaches to the school. I also use a lot of sort of ex pupils as well, old boys that are now in their pathway of coaching, and it's a good fun week.
Definitely, and I definitely noticed the amount of players kind of coaching and learning the craft and also understanding the game a bit better. We were just chatting, weren't we? When you have to coach it, you go, oh right, that's what that means.
Yeah, so a lot of my boys who are going to be playing for me next year are actually on the course helping. But the good thing about that is they're seeing it from a different perspective this time and having to think about the game in a different way. So it's good.
Happy days. And yourself, you enjoying the week? I've seen we've been watching you coach some tackle stuff this morning.
Yeah, it's good, James. It's, as Roddy said, it's getting an opportunity to come into a different environment, especially for myself, and work with other coaches. As you say, you get some downtime at lunchtime, etc., to have a chat about rugby and see what else is going on and new plays. And as you're going to come on to, obviously, tackle height has been quite a big conversation this week in terms of obviously new practices and how we can work with it. So no, it's great. I had the opportunity last year and definitely wanted to come back this year.
Brilliant. And like I said, this morning we've been looking at a load of tackle stuff, so we'll probably just crack into it. So the new tackle laws have come in. We've done loads of workshops and road shows, and it's here now, and it's great to see kind of how we're dealing with it. So just get your thoughts really. So since it's kind of kicked off, what do you think the impact's going to be? And
it's interesting. I think after the initial panic out there when all this was released, I mean, I think it's really exciting. And we're really, really excited about the change here. More so in a sense of, right, how can we add to our attacking game? I mean, the way we play at this school here is, and everyone knows, we're trying to play with real speed and try and use our skills to play a real expansive game. So we're trying to use this new sort of change to really upskill our boys and try and play even quicker and try and get our offloading game going even more. So our boys are really excited about it.
Definitely. And a bit of a different kind of environment you work in. So obviously you've coached Hoik this year, lots of success, but from chats, something you're quite excited to get into as well.
Yeah, I think you used the word before as well. It's a massive opportunity. It's something completely different. Now I'm fortunate enough to be in two separate camps in regards to the development side and obviously coaching first team wise, and especially from where I am coming down from in Hoik, especially the youth age groups, we're really excited, as Roddy says as well, to be able to go play. We've got a sort of blueprint that we have had over the last few years of having real skillful players, maybe not the biggest players in the world, so we're looking to play. We want that speed of game. Slightly different to last season in regards to our first team, where we did have a big abrasive pack, and we're obviously, as pre-season came in, there was that little bit of panic, as Roddy says, but boys are really excited by it in terms of how we can work and how we can achieve the success that we had last year.
That's awesome, guys. It's great to hear how you've been approaching it and the excitement about it, which I think is really positive. How have you been approaching it with your players, Roddy? What's been the kind of, how's it been received by the lads and obviously girls here as well at the camp? Positive? Any challenges you've had?
Well, we've had some great discussions with some of our players already on how we're going to use it to our advantage. I'm obviously not going to give too many secrets away on here, but the boys at the school are really excited about that. But also our coaches are really excited about, thinking of how can we be creative, particularly in our defensive system. How could we look for specific turnovers, etc. How could we use the new laws to our advantage in defence, but also how can we use it to our advantage in attack? And I mean, the there's always a lot of line breaks in schoolboy rugby anyway, because there's a little bit more space, and the emphasis should be on attack with young kids anyway. So we're really hoping that there's going to be a lot more line breaks, a lot more offloading, and a lot more tries, because we've got some really skillful players in Scotland, right across clubs and schools, and I think people forget that. I mean, our boys have a good skill set, so if we can really push the narrative of trying to play us at a high speed, with some accurate skills, or even inaccurate skills of just trying to offload when it's not on, we maybe don't coach or encourage that enough. So we're just looking to. I've got a pre-season camp coming up soon, and I'm just really excited to start theming that up in terms of what are we going to do to unlock some defences. Yeah. So it's exciting.
That's good. Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, as you said, lots of opportunities that will come from it. And Graham, obviously the aim of the tackle height low trials are to reduce instances of head-on-head collisions, which we don't see an awful lot in the youth games we talked about before, but certainly in the adult game we see quite a bit of that, and obviously we're trying to reduce concussions, which we see in from the French trials. They've had pretty significant reduction. I'm just interested to see from a youth level, do you think these low trials will help get players back to the game? Do you think it will be something that people will be excited about getting back involved? Will it help participation in that regard?
I think it will. I think we've all seen the stuff on social media, the stuff in the news in regards to obviously concussions and how it affects you in later life, and especially if you look at it from a youth perspective, in terms of parents are obviously pretty clued up on that now, and we've seen it already in pre-season, just over the last sort of month or so, parents coming up and asking about it and being more acceptable of their child coming back and playing. So that's massive for us. We want kids to have the big word that we keep coming back to is opportunities to play. We want them to be involved in the club. We want them to be involved from my perspective in Hoyk Rugby. Hoyk Rugby's massive in Hoyk, and we want them to come back and have those opportunities that the game allows us. So the more that we can do to look after health and safety and everything around it, the better for me. We want kids to enjoy their experience.
And on that, I think one of the most exciting things that we've kind of come across chatting with coaches is just people are talking about tackling defence a lot more now. So as you mentioned, we are quite an attack-focused country, and the blueprint is definitely quite attack-focused, but some of the conversations have been really good, and people thinking about like the tackling quite good detail and how we break it down. Yeah. And it's a good opportunity, again, just to kind of be creative how we coach, and we've seen some great activities which are going to kind of show alongside this Blether. But so in terms of from a coaching perspective and looking at the tackle itself, what sort of things are you really focusing on? Because people are maybe a bit off put by the need to get lower, but actually when you think about it, some really simple things we can do, and actually some of the coaching practice we can put in are actually quite useful to have. Yeah, no,
I think it's another great opportunity to look at the tackle technique in itself. Yeah. So a lot of teams across the country and even in schools are coaching a double tackle. Which can bring injuries, and the assist is obviously going to be that little bit higher. But I think it's a great opportunity here to look at a real core skill. We were talking about earlier having a PE teaching background of a tackle is a core skill. So ultimately, if we can break that tackle down into specific phases like a preparation, action, recovery, and we talked about it earlier as well, is that the most important part of the tackle is the preparation phase. How many coaches out there spend a lot of time on footwork and shoulder placement, so it might actually allow us to spend some real time on actually really improving the tackle technique, which ultimately is going to improve our level of concussions.
It is. It's all about how you get there, and we were watching Hoggy do some stuff with the 18s here, so do you want to just chat through some of the approach stuff that you were kind of focusing on? Because again, if we get that right and you get safely into that contact area, then everything else kind of almost follows. And you were giving some good stuff down to the guys. Yeah,
we just wanted to break it down a little bit. There's a little bit, we'll go back to the word panic that we used before, and there's maybe a little bit overthinking with that. Yeah. In terms of the core skill, it's exactly the same, especially at schoolboy rugby. We want to tackle, we want to coach that low tackle. And as Roddy said about the preparation stuff, just being able to get that foot placement in the correct place in terms of splitting the body and then being able to adjust your height. Those are massive. If you get those two things wrong, that's when your concussions and such like are going to come in. So we worked a fair bit this morning just on, as you can see, as you seen earlier this morning, just with the sort of therabands in terms of adjusting that height just at the last second, because as you said, that's where a fair few of them come, just being able to adjust, concentrate on that foot position, making the boys aware that obviously how important that is, and obviously getting that drop in height to then being able to fire through and make that low tackle.
I liked how you were getting them to think about, like, it's not the same for every single player as well. Like, you've got different heights and different limb lengths, so one foot placement for one player isn't necessarily the right one for another one. You get them to really think about where are you in control and how can you kind of launch yourself into a good, effective tackle position. So, yeah, like I say, we're going to put these clips out alongside this Blether as well.
Yeah, I mean, the skills are complex.
Yeah.
The tackle is a complex skill. I mean, there's a lot of subroutines within it. So, if you're getting 2 or 3 of those subroutines wrong, then you get your timing wrong. That's when you might get a high tackle. Or that's when you might get your head in the wrong position. And that's so. Ultimately, if we can, get the boys to groove these skills, over and over through some repetition, just the preparation stage, and since I've been at the school, I've been here 10 years. Maybe 10 years ago, when I was a bit more naive, lacking experience, I'd have maybe done a lot of full contact tackling during the week. Now I do none. I do no contact really during the week, and I'll do no full tackles, because what we're trying to do is trying to look after the boys' bodies during the week. But you don't need to do a full tackle for them to develop. You can just do the little parts of it. So I spend a lot of time during the week doing the preparation phase of the tackle. So they're not even having to complete a tackle. It's not full contact. A lot of it is all the preparation, the footwork and the shoulder overlap, which makes a big difference to the actual the tackle and the tackling position.
It's huge, isn't it? That I guess key point or top tip is you don't need to coach the full tackle all the time to get good outcomes, and I think splitting it down is really key. So I guess I'm interested in, like, if you had the opportunity to kind of give a message out to club coaches, youth coaches around the country, what would be your top couple of tips? Because I think we've got some thoughts on it, but Graham, come to you, like, top tips for young coaches or coaches of in youth teams. What would be your top tips for coaching the tackle?
I think even just sort of taking it a step back from it just before we go on to that, I think I've learned loads since this has came out in terms of not having to do that full contact. So I've had to upskill myself in terms of all those key components in terms of the tackle, so the preparation and such. Like, I think that would be a top tip, is make sure in terms of your preparation stage. For me, we've had a chat about it basically all week, that the preparation for it is huge. If you don't get that straight off the bat, nothing else is going to go. So concentrating on that preparation and the little bits of footwork and how maybe cross sports can affect that in terms of working on boys' footwork is massive for being able to go through the full thing.
Yeah, because what we were talking about earlier is certainly in New Zealand and France, what they found is that kind of line speed is a challenge. If you're flying off the line out of control and not getting the preparation right, you're going to not make an effective tackle, but or potentially get caught high, and head-to-heads will occur. So it's a really good point, preparation. Roddy, top tip, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I think more thinking of your sort of coaching process. I mean, everyone out there's got their ideas of how to break down a tackle or how to build it up. But I think the way you coach the tackle is really important. So I mean, at this school here, we'll do a lot of small little drills, maybe right at the start of training, even before they've warmed up. Just little footwork drills, just in pairs or even in threes, and they can also give some feedback to each other. But I think going for really, like, don't be going for long periods of time on the tackle. And if you're going to do some full tackling, do it for like 30 seconds. Do a couple of full tackles. And all the rest can be just little tackles, and just building up to the tackles. You don't have to flog boys or girls. You really don't in this day and age, because we've got to look after bodies. But at the same time, you don't want them to be fatigued when they're training, because if they're fatigued and they're tired, then those little skills that we've been working on, they're definitely not going to be able to do it. So always do it at the start, and get them to take some lead on it, and give them some boys can give feedback to each other, but just try and get them to, the repetition of it is the key. The more we can do it, in every session, and ultimately the more they can do it on the field.
It's almost like making it habitual, isn't it? Just making it just part of the norm. And as part of that, are you guys looking at, like, how you play touch games at all? Because obviously we talk about the approach being key thing, and touch games are used probably like 70% of most sessions across the country. So what are your thoughts on how are you going to change anything about the way you look at those?
We've certainly changed it. As you can see, work that we've all done with Fletch and stuff over the last couple of months as well, that in terms of you see teams at the beginning of a session playing touch and they're just throwing an arm out and different things like that without thinking. It's not game specific, it's not game like, so changing it round to making sure for instance our youth players getting in that low position with that foot in close to go for the two-handed touch round about the hips, or even just a slightly higher than that, obviously below sternum, just little things like that, but making it, before even speaking about the tackle height, just getting them into those good habits, so then when it comes to actually having to do the full tackle like Roddy says, they're naturally starting to do that already, rather than just going for that height. That has definitely made a difference to us, even over the last sort of 2-3 weeks. It's been huge for us.
Yeah, I think an interesting point on, if you're playing a lot of conditioned games, especially focusing on defence, is what does your tackle assist now? What's his role look like? What is your inside hunt, if that's what you call it? What's your inside hunt? Obviously, there's going to be more jackal opportunities. Who's in your bobby line? Are you using a 9? Are you using a jackler in there? How can we be creative around that? I mean, we work on a system. We've always worked on working in chains of 3. So that chain of 3 role now will completely change. And something that we've looked a lot on in the past is the assist. What can the assist role be? And I like the way the laws are still there that they can target ball. So that's going to be interesting how that comes out.
Some good decisions to be made, isn't it? And it's going to be a real skilled approach. The assist tackler, there's got to be a lot of consideration in terms of, is there space for me to tackle? What's the speed of that tackle? Can I get in and rip the ball? Or we talked about, can I actually drag to the floor and be in that position to contest at the breakdown? There's a lot of real decisions to be made.
There's obviously going to be a lot more space, I think, at the breakdown, which I think will make the decision-making process that wee bit easier for the players, but maybe more specifically the referee, because his job's hard enough as it is in that breakdown at the moment. So you're hoping these laws are, one, going to speed up the game, but going to clean up the breakdown. And there might not be as many opportunities for people launching off their feet, out of control. So having that more space in the breakdown might allow for more jackal opportunities, or we can pop the ball off the floor and get the speed of the game going that wee bit quicker.
I think the big thing for me on that is the new laws. There's still a chance for everybody to play them. It's not neglecting anybody. It's not taking, for instance, a jackler out the game or a big tackler out the game. There is still those chances for everybody to have. Everybody's got their strengths in their game. If making big contacts is your strength, there's still a chance for that. If you're really good over ball, you're probably going to get more of a chance for that if you're clever enough round about that breakdown area to work it. So there is a chance for everybody still to play the same game as such, but just obviously with those little technical tweaks that are in the end going to make you a better player, from youths all the way up.
We've just, a lot of this conversation, we've been involved in it a long time and we've been working on it, and again, we had conversations at Director of Rugby course way back in January, wasn't it, when it came out. You're in environments where you're working with like youth players and parents and massive stakeholders in terms of making your other stakeholders in the school and club aware. What sort of things are going around? Because I think getting messages out with the playing group is really important to make sure that when people are watching the game and referees and coaches and players are supported, are things you're looking at to kind of work with parents or other people in the school or club?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously going to try really hard with the coach education of our coaches on this one within the school. We have a new director of sport coming in as well. So Nick DeLuca will be bringing his own ideas, which is going to be great for us in terms of our rugby context as well. But I suppose the key is just to be pretty clear with your messaging to parents. But I think when I've spoken to a lot of parents already about it, they can already see the huge benefits in this. And I think we've got to try and make the game as attractive as possible. And what parents don't want to see is they don't want to see high tackles. And they don't want to see maybe those physical double shots. Which if you get your timing wrong on them, it could be a wee collision in there. So we've already spoken to our parents about it, just in general conversations, but when we get back to school, there'll definitely be some communication going out to parents on what our plans are.
Nice. Same in Hoik, is it something similar?
Yeah, exactly the same. We obviously, with all the different age groups, we've had parents in. We will be getting parents in to have obviously the usual pre-season chats that we will have, and this will certainly come up, and it'll certainly be I think the parents that I've spoke to already, it's certainly going to be a positive. Now those are parents who are in the game already.
Yeah.
For me, this is massively important for the kids who are maybe only 2, 3, 4 years old, who will be coming into hopefully rugby environments, and if they parents see this as a safe way of playing, they're more obviously acceptable to let their kids come to rugby and think it's obviously the safe sport, and it ultimately is. So it's not just for the parents we're looking at just now, it's for years down the line, where it's hopefully going to be better for everybody.
It's a great point, isn't it? I mean, this whole thing is about future-proofing the game, make sure that it's a viable, safe, also exciting game, which we were chatting. We think it's a massive opportunity for like Scottish rugby, looking at our player demographic and skill set, and the skill set of our coaches to kind of really hammer in on some real exciting things to go out in both attack and defence, and yeah, I think it's going to be cool. Thanks for giving up your time. There's obviously a lot going on, and it's been really good catching up with you all. We're going to be putting this out. There'll be loads of stuff coming out around the tackle like laws. There'll be workshops which are in the process of writing and running, webinars, social media stuff. But in the meantime, enjoy cracking into coaching like these gents are, and we'll be doing some more blethers around the tackle, coming up with some of the academy guys. They're currently in games at the moment. So, Roddy,
thanks.
Hoggy, much appreciated.
Cheers, Jed.
It's
Thank
great
you.
having you on board.